Go live. It says preparing to blah, blah, blah. Setting up your meeting for YouTube Live. Done. Up. Okay, there's a drag here. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to. Oh, should I mute this or what?
I think I don't know. Like most times, people probably mute me, and then you're gonna come onto your page, right? And then
Yeah,
start
I'm
talking.
on the page right now,
Yep.
but there's drag behind me.
All right.
Let me see. You know what I'm going to do?
I love this.
Yeah. Okay, let me try this.
All right, here we go.
All right. And let me make sure also to record. I sure hope this works. Otherwise, this is
Man,
just
this is it. This is, dude, man. We're the latchkey kids. This is how we figured things out.
yeah, exactly. Let me see.
Get on that
Worst
bike.
case scenario, this is
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
be recorded, so
yeah.
whatever.
Get on that bike. Fall off it. Get on up.
Okay, we're going live in
Yep.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hello, cats and kittens. Orewa Jose, Yoroshiku. We are back in the crisis corner, in the creative corner, doing 5 creative questions with my special guest, Frankie B. Washington. How you doing, Frankie?
Hey, what's going up, people? How my kaiju fans out there? Robots, love.
And I'm gonna tell you, I go back with this dude to 2001 or two
Ooh,
when we worked on a project which is behind me, at least a
yep.
page of which is
Oh yeah.
behind me, called Ages.
Yep.
This was an extremely ambitious project
Yes.
which Frankie crushed.
Oh
I ain't even
man.
gonna lie to you, you crushed these pages. It was very condensed.
Yeah.
It was my only regret is that we did it too soon.
Yeah.
We did it too soon. And we
Yeah.
needed to
Yeah.
space that out. And it's, but like I said, you crushed it. Jim crushed
Yeah.
the story.
Yep.
It just was too soon. It just anyway.
Yeah.
But again, this is a person that I've worked with, a person that I admire professionally and also personally. We were just talking about your wellness journey, which I
Yep.
actually absolutely
Yep.
admire. And you're actually, because I know you from the comic sector, but you're
Yep.
also actually a commercial artist, a
A
commercial
commercial illustrator.
designer.
Yes, I am. A commercial illustrator. That would be the correct term for it. And yeah, that commercial illustrator is pretty much an artist who works in the art industry. I think
Okay.
sometimes that people, when they think of the art, like say comic books, for instance,
Mm-hmm.
comic books is part of the art industry, just like animation is part of the art industry. The art industry is an ocean,
Mm-hmm.
and comic books, working in comic books, is like a river that connects to that ocean, or animation is like a river that connects to it, or so there's different rivers that sort of connect to the larger whole. And so, as a commercial illustrator, technically, I'm able to navigate my boat through different rivers,
Mm-hmm.
the different things. So, I've worked on toys, I've worked in
There you
advertising,
go.
I've worked on film, I've worked in animation, I worked in gaming, trading cards, sketch cards. I mean, it's just all over the place. Anything that I could just get my finger on, I would be like, okay, I'll do it. Straight
Okay.
out hustle. Like that's one of the things I learned early after I left art school. I was like, I remember telling myself that life is going to be my educator after this, and that I
Mm-hmm.
cannot allow fear to stop me from really pushing out there into the field. Because I was always like, I want to have the most eclectic portfolio ever. And this is
Mm-hmm.
before the internet and anything. You know how it is. Back in the
Yeah,
day, you
yeah.
had to actually knock on the door and then have somebody look at you and be like, "Get away from me."
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
had, and I got schooled that way. It
Mm-hmm.
helped me. It toughened me up a little bit. And one of the things about it was I always felt that I wanted to have a portfolio so that if anyone looked at it, they could tell that one person did it clearly. Like
Mm-hmm.
my artwork consistently stays. There's a style to it, but they'll be like, "Oh, this person can actually draw vehicles. If I need somebody to draw vehicles, this person can draw cute bunny rabbits.
Mm-hmm.
This person can draw robots or monsters. This person can draw the comic book interior pages, sequential
Mm-hmm.
pages. This person can do keyframes. If for film, they'd be like, hey, we need somebody to do a keyframe. I'm your man. So
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty much what a commercial illustrator is. Straight out hustle artist, can do pretty much anything, can draw anything. Supposedly, that's the creed.
And that's another reason for my admiration is that I'm part time. I got
Yep.
a day job and I write and do
Yeah.
whatever. You in this for real? Not for real, but
Yeah.
because I ain't kidding. I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Seriously. But you all in.
30
You know what
years.
I'm saying?
When I
All
went
in.
again, when I went to back in the day, I graduated high school 1988,
Mm-hmm.
and back then, I grew up in Boston. I'll take you back. I grew up in Boston, Jamaica Plain, and back then there were a lot of programs that popped up. I'm very fortunate that I had teachers that really saw something in me. I wasn't a bad kid. I tell people I was more of a Loki. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I did little things and whatever, but I was smart enough not to get in trouble. Like I would do my homework and whatever and stuff like that. But I would never be like so hard headed that I would be like one of those cats to get in trouble and whatever. So I would always teachers liked me. They liked what I did and stuff like that. And so they saw that I drew and they said, you know what? Once I hit high school, they were like, we got to get this kid into some programs.
Mm-hmm.
And so they put me in this program called ORC, Occupational Resource Center, which was at Madison Park High, that was in Roxbury. And what it was like a half-day program. So you could either go half day there and then take a bus to your home school and finish out the rest of the day, or vice versa. You can go, whatever. So they had an illustration program there. So I did 2 years. So it was pretty much my senior and junior. My junior senior year, I ended up going to this program. And in this program, pretty much it helps you to sort of develop your skills to see whether or not, like, once you leave high school, then you can follow up. You could say whether or not you're going to go to art school or whatever. So what I didn't know in this program was that I had a lot of eyes on me at the time. I know this. And what happened was one of my teachers took the initiative to put me in this scholarship program because they felt that I was that good. And they said, okay, we're going to put him in a scholarship. I didn't know anything about this until on the day that I was graduating. I got pulled into this room. All I saw was these adults at a table, and I'm standing there all scared. I'm like, what did I do? I'm sitting there, you sit in your head going, did I do something? And I'm freaking out. And they just looked at me and smiled. And they said, we'd like to congratulate you. You're one of, and it was X amount of kids who got a scholarship. Now they said, go find the school you want to go to. So then at that point, I'm like freaking out. I'm like, I don't know what to do and whatever. And I remember a couple of schools reached out to me, but I remember Joe Cubitt's school reached out to me. Yeah, they reached out to me, but I was scared. I'll be honest with you. I didn't want to go to New Jersey. I didn't want to leave Massachusetts. I just was like, there's nobody there. I don't have anybody. I just was afraid to leave Massachusetts. So
to go there, you would have to move.
Yeah, because the Joe Cubitt school focuses on at the time was focusing on more comic book art and stuff. And I really wasn't a comic book art. But I just was like, I don't want to leave Massachusetts. I didn't want to, go to New Jersey. And, so what happened was I started looking at other alternatives. And mass art was one. Another one was a design school. I went there, but they were more architectural. And so when I saw the architectural stuff, I'm like, my head's just not. I was never a numbers guy. So I was like, that's too linear for me.
Okay.
And then the next school that popped up was a school called Butera School of Art. And Butera's, they don't exist anymore, but they were a small little school on Beacon Street, and they focused on commercial illustration. And I was like, commercial illustration? They were like, no. They were like, we're going to teach you to survive as an artist. They're like, we're not teaching you to be a starving artist. We're teaching you to be an artist that will get paid to give a service to a client. And I never forget that. That was their meeting. And I remember sitting there and I was like, that's what I want. Okay. So I ended up going to this school. It was a 3-year program, and I got schooled. I got schooled by some of the best teachers who were working in the industry. They were working for like ad companies, and I know some with Boston Globe, and they were working. They were in it. Like some were doing stuff for toy companies and stuff. They were hardcore, hustle. My classes were based on like getting up and talking, like being able to sell yourself to a client, being able to pitch your work. Those are the things I was learning. They did not focus on stuff like art history. I think there was one time I went to the Museum of Art, and we talked about one of the great artist, and that was it. And they said, well, if you want to learn anything else about that, you do it on your own time. You know, seriously, their whole approach was about artists being more like contractors.
Right.
You know, like a mechanic. You go to a mechanic, you pay this person to work on your vehicle. You know, if you're a homeowner, you pay a plumber to do their job. The plumber comes in, gives you a quote. You say, okay, that quote works for me. They do the job, and everybody's happy. So they were like, we're gonna try to. They were sort of, you know, put it into our heads that yeah, art is great and whatever, and there's a great feeling doing art. Of course, we love it, but also we also are contractors. That means that we have a skill set that people out there will pay for if you can go out there and get those people and find those people. And I went out there, it changed my whole perspective. Like when I graduated from school, I wasn't even talking comic books anymore. I just was like, I want to go out there and I want to start, you know, making some money drawing. You know, I went to school. I want to get paid doing art.
So out of school, your first jobs weren't comic related?
No.
The first jobs that you got?
After I graduated from art school, I was not working. I didn't get any art jobs until 2 years later. Okay. Afterwards. I pretty much put myself through art school because the scholarship that I had only extended to 2 years. And then my final last year of art school, I had to, you know, come out of my own pocket. I had to pay for a loan and stuff. But then during that time, I was putting myself through school. Like I was living off campus, I had my own little apartment, and I did security. I was a security guy. You know, I had numerous other jobs before. I mean, I've been working since I've been 12. But anyway, I hooked up with this company, this security company, and I was a good officer. Like I got awards and stuff. I did stuff. I mean, any job that I worked on, I always put up like 200% into it. So, but I remember my commanding officer, he was a cool guy, man. And he was his brother. And he just said, look, man, he said, Frank, he said, you have a choice. He said, you're really good. You could be an amazing security officer. I mean, like gun carrying security officer, like to that next level if I wanted to.
Right.
Or he said, but I can tell you're an artist and it wouldn't be the right thing for you. And he said, I think you need to follow your true path. And I never forget that. And that was a tough thing for me because I had been struggling after leaving art. And I was like, oh man, I'm like, what am I doing? And I remember he said, Frank, you got to make the decision. And I remember going to the company, and I've been working with this company for years, this security company. And my hands were shaking and stuff because I was like, I gotta go. I don't want to be a security guard. I want to be an artist. And so I remember looking into the sky and I said, Lord, I said, please, if just one art job comes in, I'm going to take it. And maybe a week later, a job came in. It was for a production company, a movie production company. Yep. In Waltham.
Never underestimate the power of prayer.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I always feel it's like it's there. It's like you gotta want it though. You know,
That's true.
You gotta want it. You can't just sit there. You gotta be like, okay, you know, because I was adamantly like, in my head, I was like, I gotta get paid doing art, getting paid doing art. That was my whole agenda. And once I started putting that into my head, that's when things started turning around.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Well, this is actually going to factor into some of these questions, but we'll get started. Again, this is 5 creative questions.
All right.
They're in the creative corner of the Crisis Corner. And the way this works is I come up with 5 questions. I'm going to ask Frankie. This is the game show where you win no prize except for your dignity and your self-respect.
Man.
You can elaborate on these questions to your heart's desire. And then I have one bonus question.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Right on.
So my first question to you is, name the ability as a creator that you are most confident in. What ability do you have as a creator that you are most confident in?
Concepting characters.
Okay.
I love concepting characters. As a kid, I grew up watching Creature Double Feature on WLVI 56 for my peeps out there. Oh, you all right? There you go.
No, I had a similar setup here.
Yeah, there you go. And I'm gonna tell you, when I used to watch those with Godzilla and all that stuff, my dream was to be that person that drew all those cool creatures.
Yeah,
that's it. Even when I was in school, like, you know, I don't know if you went through it, but even in middle school and stuff, I would get into draw battles.
Yeah.
You know, cats would come up and they'd be like, I draw better than you and whatever. And I would be that one dude who would be like drawing like detail. Like I would be like, you know, if we were drawing a space car, I would reference, like research everything about the car and everything, and they'll be like, hey, and dudes would still be hating on me, like, oh, dude, you said, because they'll draw like these really simple things and little bullet pellets or whatever. I'm talking about laser beams and stuff like that. So when I saw that kind of stuff, I was like, I want to be the guy that draws and creates stuff, characters. So my thing
was the Yamato. Star Blazers, the Yamato.
Oh,
Star Blazers, all the little gun turrets.
Yes,
gun turrets they had on the
side.
Yeah, the Argo was my thing. Yes. I was trying to draw that hard my whole life.
Yeah. So I would say concepting is the best. I love it if somebody just said, hey, just try to create creatures, monsters, whatever. I'd be like, okay, sign me up.
Okay, we got that in kind of, mine's just brainstorming,
Oh, there you go.
Brainstorming concept.
There you go.
Yeah, just sit back with some coffee or something, stare at the ceiling and think, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, we're on the same page. All right, 2, your favorite part of the creative process.
That would follow up from concepting to thumbnailing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I love my thumbnails are it's funny, they've evolved over the years, but I love that point of getting a script. And usually what I do with a script, and I've always done this, is that some artists will read a whole script. I don't do that. As I'm reading, I'm drawing, I'm sketching.
Okay.
I'll do an initial. So I'm reading different things and I'll just start sketching roughly and get it down. And then I'll do another pass over it again. And then I'll start laying down stuff how I want it. So it's all about just the layout, the composition and stuff like that. I love all that stuff.
That's it. Because I usually assume that the artist reads the whole thing and then
some people,
goes back and does the.
I like to go through one of the things about it, I remember my teachers told me that sometimes the initial creative energy that you feel is sometimes the best because it's so raw. It just hits you like you're just creating like boom, boom, boom. And once you get that out, then what you do is you put that piece of artwork aside or whatever, maybe give it a day or so, and then come back and then look at it. And then you can sort of grasp to see if there's any kind of changes that you want to make or tweaks or whatever.
Okay.
So yeah.
Thumbnail. 3. Okay. The first thing you remember creating. What's the first thing that you remember? You could go back to.
All right, I'm gonna say as a creator, the first thing that I created, and I'll just stick with comic books, is this comic book called Peace.
Okay.
The comic book called Peace. A lot of people, like those people who are in Massachusetts, old schoolers, who might have had a rare copy of it. Peace was a comic book that I did. Oh man, it had to be 1991. And black and white, and it was a character. I based Peace off of me and my friends and everything like that. But I had this concept about Boston. I had this idea of, and this was my tag. I was that what if you took Luke Cage and you went through his evolution to become the Silver Surfer? That was my whole thing. Like that. So, but what I was technically saying is, a hero from that level of power base to become somebody who's cosmic. And then all the stuff in between. And I'm telling you, I still have books, notepads of just all this crazy stuff that I did and wrote and characters. And it's always based in Boston. I mean, I represent any place. I'm like, Boston was in its future. I was sort of like this Lex Luthor character. I chose the name Frederick. I always thought Frederick would be this obnoxious, wealthy name. Because I sat there, you sit there and I said, if I had to do myself as a villainous person, I said, what would be the most obnoxious way off my name? And I said, Frederick. Okay. And it's obnoxious. So Frederick Washington, and I had all my friends, everybody I knew, I would just turn into certain characters and just plop them into the story.
How detailed did you get with the Boston area? Would people have recognized that it was Boston when
it was crazy. It looked, I mean, during that time, I probably was getting into anime. And so I was probably trying to get like a Kira level.
Okay. Yeah.
City like
Tokyo.
I had it where Boston became I think I called it a city state. So technically it gobbled up like it was like Massachusetts would be Boston. So it sucked in Roxbury. I mean, it sucked in Rhode Island. I think it stretched all the way to New York. So Boston itself would be a city state. Similar, I guess. And it's funny when I look back at it, it's almost like Mega City 1 from Judge Dredd. Well, even though I don't even recall reading a lot of Judge Dredd, but I think my mind was thinking on that level that it would just be Boston, because as a kid, growing up in Boston, I always thought Boston was everything. I didn't know. I honestly did not think of Massachusetts as having different towns. I kid you not. I grew up in JP, but I always thought Boston was like everything. I remember a friend of mine took me to Cambridge for the first time, and I was like, yeah, guy. I was like, yeah. So who's your mayor? And they were like, yeah, we got different mayors. And I blew my mind. Like, he was like, yeah.
They're like back when they thought
you got a mayor too. And I was like, hold on a second. This guy's the mayor of Boston. He's like, no, Frank. There's different towns, and each town stretches out. And I was like, wow. But I kept that idea of like Boston being this super mega city state kind of thing. So yeah.
They're like back when they thought the sun revolved around the earth. You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
I got you. I mean,
oh man.
Let's see. This is an interesting one. This is probably hit you kind of interesting.
All right.
Which do you rely on the most, inspiration or craftsmanship?
Craftsmanship.
I thought you would say that.
Yeah.
I thought you would say that.
I think the execution has to be solid. Yeah. You know, I think that once you start getting down into the pieces of work and stuff like that, you really you got to, it's got to come out solid. You know, I try to tell any artist that contact me. I get artists who send me stuff. Oh, would you mind looking at my work? And I'm like, sure. And then I'm expecting finished art, you know, because, you know, that's how, you're able to critique somebody if you look at their finished final piece of art. And I'm getting people sending me rough sketches. And I'm like, that's a rough sketch. I can't critique when you're in that stage. And I would call that maybe inspiration, like that side where your mind was jumbling around with, ideas. And you could tell it because it's on the paper. You're showing me. So I can't critique that. It's almost like I would say looking at a house that isn't built yet. It doesn't have the skins. You're just looking at the frames.
Yeah.
And then somehow someone's like, okay, what do you see? And I'm like, well, I just see a house there's a foundation, I guess, but there's nothing feeling. There's just frames. I can see through the house. I want to see how the finished house looks. So then I can say, okay, all right, well, you got to work on the gutters there. The roof's got a spot.
No, I feel you.
Yeah.
My thing with if I love inspiration,
Correct.
Because it's like it hits you, it's like a rush or a high, right? Correct. But when you get on a deadline,
yeah,
and as those days to that deadline start creeping by, you can't count on it.
Exactly.
You got to grind. You got to be able to produce because you're able to. You know what I mean? That's craftsmanship, is the ability to produce because you've done it before, or you know what you're doing. You
just said something so real that I think many creators out here now need to truly understand. When I got into really working, in the field, in the art industry, I learned to respect deadlines. I had no other choice. I mean, when you're starting to deal with companies are pretty straightforward. They don't mess around. They're like, hey, we're hiring you to do this job, paying you well to do a job. We don't want to hear any excuses. We don't want to hear your cat ate your lunch or whatever.
Yes.
None of that. That doesn't work. This is about business. It's about getting a product out, and then you're rewarded with more calls from us. And it's as simple as that. And I think many times is that a lot of artists and creative teams, they just don't have an understanding of that the end result of say like for us, for the comic books, doing comic books, it's great that you got this idea for this comic and everybody's all jazzed and whatever, but the end result is that you need a product. The product has to go out. If you want this, whatever this is that you're feeling, what you're putting out, to be sustained, it has to be continuous. You got to keep it going and going and going and stuff like that. And I see so many of it where a lot of times I think the inspiration is they got abundance of that, but the lack of getting the actual product out, that gets, there's a lack of that.
Yeah, you're still on the same page here.
Yeah.
5, a creator or creative work that inspired you the most.
Easy. Shogun Warriors #1.
Okay.
By Herb Trimpe and Doug Munich, Marvel Comics. And I've told this story 1,000 times, but I'll tell it 1,001 more times. I remember my mom taking me to Child World. I don't know if you remember that. Remember Child World? Oh, really? Oh, Child World. Child World.
Where was it?
It was a toy company. It was like a toy store.
We didn't have any. We had Toys R Us and stuff like that. But
yeah, you go look on YouTube and look at Child World. Yeah.
Oh, look, okay.
And this place was massive. It was in Dedham. And my mom took me, and it's for me, it's like my memory where I see images, flashes, where I was so excited because I was like, oh, wow, it's just this big place. I remember going through the door, and there was a spinner rack. Around that spinner rack was comics. And inside those comics was a big, I think it was like 10 comics in a bag kind of thing.
Yeah, I remember those.
Yeah. And it was like maybe $5, I think, or whatever. Yeah. And I remember just, spinning. My mom would just come through, and I image of seeing all these things popping up.
Oh yeah.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. My mom was just coming to the thing. She said, "What's going on, boy?" And I said, "Mom, please, I want this." Because all I saw was this giant robot on the front cover of this thing. And she said, "Okay, $5." And it was the Shogun Warriors.
Yeah.
It was Herb Trimpe's. Doug Minnich's storytelling was amazing. But it was just the way he did the robots. This was stuff that I was into. I love superheroes, mind you. I mean, I was reading Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, all that stuff. I love it. But I really have a really warm place for a lot of the super robots, giant robots like Mazinga Z, Grandizer, Vanguard Ace is my favorite, and these kind of storytelling. And so when I saw this magazine, a Western comic book with that characters on there, with Vanguard Ace and Combatra and stuff like that, I was like blown away. It was almost like, I don't know, it was like this weird thing where I was like, wow, so there's actually people here in America that like it as much as I do, and Marvel Comics is printing it. So maybe there's a chance for me. Maybe there's a chance that maybe when I grow up and I work at it, I could, work for Marvel or somebody and draw robots and giant monsters and whatever.
So this is definitely predating Transformers and stuff like that.
No, I think Transformers was probably coming. Oh, let's see, this first Shogun Warriors must have.
So you're talking about mid 80s?
They were 80s. So the Transformers might have been coming out too.
Okay.
Time. Yeah, they were right around the same time. So I mean, I love the Transformers too, mind you. But when I tell people, I love super robots. Super robots are those robots that like Mazinga Z. Whereas I believe Go Nage, the creator of it, he was influenced by Western comic books. Like Koji Kabuto is like Clark Kent.
Okay.
And then what happens if Clark Kent climbed into the head of Superman, who's like a 100-foot tall robot?
Right.
That's the basis of it. And he had all these fantastical machine monsters and stuff. And it's just all these great things that I loved from like watching the Toho monster movies and giant monsters and robots and stuff like that. And these guys were drawing it. And Marvel, a major publisher, was putting it out. It gave me like a hope. Like it really inspired me. Like I was like, man, there's gonna be a place. Maybe I'll have a chance to put something out.
Everybody needs something like that.
Yeah.
To get them going. Here's your bonus question.
All right.
As a creator, you're at the helm, you got the pen, you're the writer. Godzilla versus King Kong, who wins?
They both.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a cop out, man.
No. It's tough because I've been having people ask me that and stuff. And honestly, I like both of them. What in my head, I would probably shape the story to be in a way similar to what they did for the movie. I don't know if you saw the movie.
Yeah. But which I actually enjoyed a lot. Yeah,
I enjoyed. I mean, it would work because they both are such massive icons.
Yeah.
They're just massive icons. I mean, if they were gonna die, I would rather see both of them die.
Oh, okay.
Like they both go at it and then they both just die. Like whatever it is, it takes them both out because they're both so great. I loved how at the end the dynamics of it, where there was a level of respect. Clearly, I will admit, and this I'll be honest, Godzilla clearly could kill King Kong. I think he could have killed King Kong easily, but I do love how they handled it, where King Kong had that axe and that he's smarter and he had agility and stuff like that. And so, I like the fact that they set it up that he's going to be as a ruler of his own place, and then Godzilla's the ruler of his own place and stuff like that. So yeah, that's a tough one. That's a really tough one.
It is.
Yeah, because I love both of them.
In a practical, I mean, I agree with you. Practically
Yeah.
speaking, I think if they fought 10 times, Zilla might take 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Because he got
I mean,
long range. He got,
Godzilla has his skin is thick. I mean, he heals, and that friggin' fire breath, man.
Yes, it's hard to get around.
It's nasty. Like if Kong, you notice that Kong didn't really get hit directly. I don't think he.
Yeah, he took one. He took one on the back.
Right in the back. You're right.
Yeah.
But I mean, like if he took a couple of those, I don't know if he could last. Yeah, it'd be over.
But I thought that flick was it gave me the feel of the old movies.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. There was one moment because me and Jess, we watched King of the Monsters.
Okay.
Before we watched it, right? I was like, oh, let's watch King of the Monsters. And then once Godzilla versus Kong started, I was sitting there going, there was that moment where I was like, I don't know if I like it. And then I was like, I had to recheck myself, and I said, this feels like a Showa. That's what we call the Showa era.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when the smile came on my face. Like I literally had to take that part out of my head and go, this is what I watched as a kid.
Yeah.
But now we got these cool special effects to go along with it.
Mm-hmm.
Where literally you see Godzilla, like when they were going at it, they were going at it.
Yeah.
Like
I love the choreography of the fight.
Oh, it was incredible. No one can dispute that this wasn't like we saw some battling, man. This was straight out like knockdown, ugly. It was ugly, nasty. Everything you can imagine these creatures be doing. I loved it.
They went past what they could have done with the rubber suits.
Oh yeah.
The rubber suits you could only get but so far. I still enjoyed it, but with the tech that they got now, they went past that.
I think, well, that's the thing. When I used to think about CGI and where it could go, I said, these are the kind of movies that CGI was built for.
Mm-hmm.
You never do this level of scale where you got giant creatures moving around and stuff like that and getting slammed through. I mean, literally, like it was funny because Jess was like, well, I guess we know a lot of people died in this. you just knew, but they didn't have to show it. You know what I mean? They didn't have to show it, but you knew if you sat back, you had to take a moment. You go, man, a lot of people died.
That thought was implied.
Yeah, it was like they just get it.
Yeah.
It was astronomical, man. Like, whoa, man.
You can't go there. Just watch it. Enjoy it.
It was fun. It took me back to the craziness of like I was expecting aliens.
Right.
Alien guys to come out and be superhumans and whatever, just expecting that level of nuttiness. So it was good.
Okay, you got your 5 questions and your bonus questions. Anything that you want to plug? Anything that you got going on or coming up that you want to
got something coming up really good. Well, we I've been working with Matthew Blair for we're now going on 6 years. Originally, me and Matthew Blair worked on this webcomic called The Secret Lives of Villains, and it's still probably out there. I mean, if you did a search for it and stuff. But then we started going back and forth. We worked on a small little comic book series, not comic series, but comic book stories called Team KS1, which appeared in Alterna Comics. It came out on a Wednesday, and which it was dealing with the strengths of giant monsters and that kind of thing. Because I was like, hey, look, I've worked on so many just like your project and other different projects and stuff like that, but to be able to work on a project that for me on something that really gets me jazzed up. He understood that. He was like, yeah, Frank, you love drawing these kaijus and stuff like that. So let's see if we can get a story together. So last year he had this rough concept and he said, yeah, Frank, there's some kaijus and then cowboys. And I was like, cowboys. I said, oh, is this going to be like Cadillac and dinosaurs, that kind of thing? And I said, I don't want to stomp down that avenue. And he said, no. He said, this idea of robots, like this is the future. And he said, maybe we can play around with it and stuff like that. So I said, okay, that's how it happened, where he said this rough idea, and then all of a sudden I started concepting sketches, and immediately I just this character came into my mind. I started thinking of Clint Eastwood, the man with no name, but then I said this guy's gotta have dreadlocks and stuff and whatever. And he's just this robot who just bounty hunter who goes out and he's on a mission. He's been programmed to kill off these kaijus that are on this planet, for these people to come in, and so that they can populate it. So that's his job. Simple as that.
All right.
And the hook is that I know that Matthew wanted to sort of, I don't know if you watched this, had a chance to watch the animated show Primal.
Primal.
Oh, It's amazing.
Was it like a Netflix or something or what?
It was
What
on
was it?
HBO. I believe it's on HBO Max now.
Okay. I'll
But
check
it was
out.
done by the guy who did Samurai Jack.
Okay, all right. I know
If you
those
get a
guys.
chance, if you get a
Yeah.
chance to watch Primal is phenomenal. It's some of the
Okay.
most amazing animation, but there's no dialogue.
Serious.
Yeah, there's no dialogue. It's just
Is it like is it a series or is
it's
it
one
one?
season. It's one season right now, but I think they have another season coming up.
No dialogue.
Yep, but it's done like it's done in the prehistoric days. It's done in the prehistoric days. So it's a caveman with a dinosaur. But it is super violent. It's super violent. So anyway, that was the pitch. That was pretty much is that Matthew saw this idea of this bounty hunter who's a robot, and he's on his mission, and he has to clear out kaijus that are on this planet. Okay. But of course, we're gonna build up more stuff in the story because clearly there's gonna more stuff in the story. But that's pretty much how the zero issue, which is we're doing a crowdfunder, which is gonna be going live May 1st. And today, I guess if people look on the below in the descriptions, the link should be there if people want to get notified about it. And yeah, so it's going to be, I know I've had a lot of people, getting on me, hey, when are you going to be doing a kaiju book or something like that? And I've been sort of holding this tight to me. Yeah, so this is the start. Hopefully, cross that it's going to be, you'll see me out there pumping out more comic book related stuff like this.
All right, man. So look forward to it, man.
Oh yeah,
and I appreciate you coming on, man.
No, I appreciate you asking, man. I'm very happy, man. Yeah.
I'm wanting to hook up with you for a while, but yeah.
And here you go. Let me show some of this fun stuff. That looks familiar.
Oh man, I forget which issue that was. That's the end of one. Is that the end of one?
Issue 1. Yeah, issue 1, page 25.
That's like when August was born, I think.
Yeah.
That's August, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, it's like I was tripping out looking at these, man. I was like, oh my God, look at this.
Yeah, man. The Kryn Union War. Yeah. Smashing planets and whatnot. You was on it, man.
I'm happy to see like the stuff that you've done. You've really taken it to the next level.
Yeah, it's keep trying, Yeah. I'm just gonna keep grinding until it's over. Yeah.
Well, you definitely had the mind for a massive universe, and that's the thing. I don't think people understand. Sometimes I'll hear people talking about. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, I got this great big idea and whatever." It's a journey.
It is.
When you start thinking about a massive big universe and dealing with timelines and stuff like that, that's a commitment.
Yeah,
that's a huge commitment. You got to prepare yourself for it.
And it's a never-ending grind. Man.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So, but it's fulfilling.
It is.
It's fulfilling. That's the thing, because you literally, you have something that you have in your hand and you can look at it and be like, yep, I did this.
Exactly. All right, man. Thanks again.
Right. Thank you very much.
And we'll be back with another guest of some sort as soon as I figure out who. So again, we out from the Crisis Corner.
Yep.
Everybody stay loose.
Right on. Keep that art flowing, people.
Yeah.
All right. That was good.
So if I end here, let me see. This is all